I don't know if they're going to actually let me do this here or not, but I'd rather kind of do something different. This big dragon, instead of the same videos I kind of just been doing sitting on my couch. I mean, I love Shin, I love Luna. I'm about to get there pretty quick, but do something a little different. Okay, I'm at Lake Erie Fearfest, which is at the Ghostly Manor, which is in Sandusky, Ohio. Hop, skip, and a jump from Cedar Point. The Ghostly Manor and some other stuff they have around here is actually up all year round. And some of it is painfully obvious it is. They actually, well, first of all, like the main guy said we wouldn't need speed passes. He was like, oh, save your money, but we kind of did. Because the way that they were running the lines, there's a couple dozen people in front of me, and the people behind me were going to get speed passes too and got talked out of it, but they spend 2 to 3 times longer here moving the line than pretty much literally anywhere else. 7 floors, Cedar Point, Forest, Schoolhouse Laboratory, Factory Terra move their lines much faster, much more efficiently. These guys were waiting way too long. So if you come here and the guy says don't get the speed pass, get the speed pass. You're still going to be waiting twice as long as you need to, especially in the first house, which is the longest out of all 5. But you need it because they're going to take a long time here. There's like a warm-up sort of thing, and they said warm-up, and it seemed like this would be cool. And no, it's this one little set and just a long dark hallway and people dropping down panels and screaming in your ear. In fact, if you want to just have people jumping out at you and screaming in your ear every single time, then this is the place for you. Yeah, that's what virtually everyone was doing, is trying to do jump scares and screaming in your ear. Not even just, and sometimes growling or anything, but mostly screaming in your ear. Pretty much the whole time. Darkmoor, the first house, is a blackout house, so in my opinion, fuck it. I don't give a shit about blackout houses. That's pretty much all it is. I should have known better with Darkmoor being the title, but it was all blackout, and I don't care. So skipping right along to Ghostly Manor. It's like you get the punch on your ticket for Ghostly Manor and Haunted Trail? And Haunted Trail. Ghostly Manor, I'll say the same thing at Ghostly Manor I'm pretty much going to say about all 4 out of the 5, is that they have a lot of amazing set pieces. There's some places in here that are just fucking awesome in terms of their sets. Whole thing, wall to wall, up taller than you, completely walled in with like maybe crypt stuff or like skeleton things coming out, or all sorts of stuff like that. Some of it, like sort of house stuff or that sort of thing. One place has kind of got like a fake sarcophagus. I did get a nice eye roll from the actor when I said, "Are you my mummy?" It wasn't in Ghostly Manor, but that sort of thing. Ignore the music. I don't have any copyright stuff for this thing, but I'm not getting paid anyway, so screw it. Deal with it. That being said, there were long stretches that it was really boring, including the 3, 4, maybe things just in Ghostly Manor and maybe I think Darkmoor too, I can't remember, they all sort of blended in, that had like those big puffy air mattress things squeezing you into the wall. I also hate those because I just feel like I'm rubbing everyone's bacteria onto my whole body and my face and my hands and it's on my clothes and everything. I understand, locking people in, it's freaking them out, but it's disgusting. They did stuff with the floors, and you have to duck in a few places and stuff like that in most, if not all, the houses except stupid Darkmoor. So that's what's playing with the claustrophobia and stuff. Get rid of the air mattress crap. And the Haunted Trail, pointless. It's utterly pointless. It's basically just some fencing, some like wooden fencing, like Mr. Miyagi wooden fencing, and a bunch of old ass set pieces and barrels and stuff, and a couple people dressed as monks for whatever reason. One was really polite, so you have that going for you. But it was a lot. It was pointless. There was no point to it. It was just like, oh well, you got lost, and here's the back lot. Way to go. The ticket place they have Music by Midnight Syndicate, and for those of you not in Northeast Ohio, Midnight Syndicate is this synth duo of sort of gothy Halloween music. They have several albums out by now. I remember it's been like 22 years or so since I first heard of them. A lot of their stuff is really kind of similar. It is kind of cool. It is mood building for Halloween stuff. They do put on a decent live show even before they started doing live shows at Cedar Point. And they're pretty cool guys. But when they say Music by Midnight Syndicate, they mean one song. Just one. The entire time plays like one song. You hear it in line. You hear it in pretty much every house. You hear it the entire time you're here. So there's that. The other houses, the Erie Chateau, Quarantine, and Dead in the Water, are surprisingly, and in at least one or two cases, a little disjarringly short compared to especially Ghostly Manor and the excessively long time that they make you wait in the excessively and Ghostly Manor line. Kind of short, annoyingly short in some point, especially for how long that you wait. Erie Chateau, pretty much same thing as Ghostly Manor. Some great sets. Interesting kind of premise. Again, a little bit more haunted house-ish stuff in some places, but kind of that's about it. Quarantine, a little bit more of like a zombie sort of theme and industrial, and that's kind of the theme for that. I can kind of blast through this because there's not a whole lot. Dead in the Water, however, is unique. I'll give it that. You get a poncho going in. There's kind of a story. A guy greets you in, screaming and growling, and you do this mock like setup thing where the floor is moving and it's like you're on his ship. Lights go out. Guy's right in your face, screaming at it. There's a little bit of spray, a little bit of water. You go into a room and there's some big guy basically taking 2 water bottles and just spraying you down. So that was excessive, but the rest of it was kind of cool. Yeah, there's some spray. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a bayou. There's some place that looks like bayous. One place kind of running water and these alligator heads and stuff, and that was actually kind of neat. Although there was a couple places, including that, with taxidermy heads. I don't like taxidermy heads. I just don't like them. It's dead animal stuff. This makes me uncomfortable. It makes me icky. I just don't like it. I don't like taxidermy stuff in haunted houses. I understand these are old houses and people had it, and hunters and rich people and creepy rich people and eccentric. I understand, I get it. They are kind of creepy for the mood. It just makes me twitchy to see it. And I thought that there was a couple people, there was a few things that were almost zombie-ish, and I thought maybe some parts could be going for like a Dagon kind of thing. And if they would run with the Dagon thing, and that would be cool. I thought that would be cool if they had like basically a Dagon house. Like you go on this fake boat ride and they keep with the story of that and just kind of do the Dagon thing. That would be cool. They did not do that, however, in general. So basically it amounts to the full rundown is there's some really great sets and there's some proto ideas in some of the places, but by and large the execution is kind of crap. I could think of maybe 1 or 2 actors maybe that weren't just jump scare, literally screaming in your ear, and half the time it was you're already past. They weren't jumping out. They're trying to jump out behind you. At this point, I'm just like bored. Whatever. I'm gone now. You didn't get me. Do something else. You know, there's a lot of places where the atmosphere is really cool, but the execution with the actors blew it. So I don't know. Maybe if they just kind of combine stuff or change up the actors, or I don't know. I think if they rework some stuff, it would work better. And definitely you want to get rid of the 99.9% of jump screaming in your goddamn ear. I mean, at one point I got like a tinnitus sort of thing, like a ringing, because it was just like 4 or 5 people within 30 seconds screaming in my damn ear. And there are a few places where what's clearly like a emergency exit or actor entrance and exit is the exact same stuff, like curtain or whatever, that the one that you're supposed to go through. So there's a couple places I almost got turned around because I was almost going in the actor areas because it's exactly the same damn thing as what you're supposed to go through. And there were some periods where it was just a lot of gratuitous, the same goddamn thing. So in the first one, the Manor had a huge hallway that went on for about 2.5, 3 times longer than necessary of what was supposed to be bodies wrapped in plastic hanging from the ceiling. That being said, there was at least one other house that had something that went on for twice as long that was supposed to be with bodies hanging from the ceiling. So there was a few places where they repeated unnecessarily, especially when what they were repeating went along twice as long at least from what they needed to do. So yeah, coming from Cleveland to Sandusky, I'd save the trip. You know, I said I give a baseline, and the other one of 2.5 skulls was the baseline, and then if it was better or worse, I'd go from that. I'm just going to keep it at 2.5, and the only thing that's really keeping it 2.5 for me is the set designs in a lot of places. Like the set designs, if they could have tweaked it with just some of the sets and tightened it up, it'd be like maybe 3.5. But if you're, like I'm from Cleveland, if you're in Cleveland, you're going to come out to Sandusky for anything, just go to Halloween Weekends at Cedar Point. You can probably skip this. If you're closer to Sandusky, you know, like, I don't know, northwestern part of Ohio, or, you know, maybe if you're, like I met some people in line, I was talking to them. They're originally from Detroit. They live in Florida now, but they're originally from Detroit. So they would come up, they brought their kids up to go to Halloween Weekends. And since they traveled and they're kind of making a weekend out of it, you know, they're coming here too. So if you're in that circumstance, yeah, I guess do that. Spend the extra money on the speed pass. At the very least, you know, you're going to get through the first line. There is a way you can kind of check the first line as you're walking up to the ticket booth. And even if you see the first sort of stretch of the corral, definitely get the speed pass, because otherwise you're waiting 3 times longer than necessary. There was a lot of just 3 times longer than necessary here. So I think if they cut down on some of the repetition and the unnecessary stuff, either trained or got some people in here that can change up their acts and can better utilize their space and set design, it would be way better. But so far what they have really, I don't know. Yeah, probably not something unless I hear or see that they really, really, really revamp this thing, this is not going to be one I'm probably going to come back to be completely honest. It's not. It's really disappointing, because a lot of the set designs were super fucking cool. A lot of crypt stuff, a lot of like skull things and skeleton stuff coming out the walls, and a few places like big huge monsters, and there were some whole rooms that were super cool, especially in the beginning of Ghostly Manor. Like big monstery things and vampire stuff coming out of coffins, and you know, they even had like some laser room stuff, and they just didn't utilize those well either. You know, it was interesting that they kind of offset the exit from those, but it was also not well done, and I don't know. There was a lot of cool stuff, but a lot of crap execution. So 2.5, I'm just staying at the baseline, 2.5 stars for Lake Erie Fearfest at Ghostly Manor in Sandusky. So yeah, unless you're from around here or trying to make a weekend of it, you want to do something other than Cedar Point for a hot minute, you can probably skip it. All right, this is John. Trying to do something different with these videos. Ignore the musics, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.